I'm Dr. Rohan Basundath, the Medical Director at XONE Precision Medicine, and we're going to spend a little bit of time today to talk about one of my favorite sports, tennis. One of the things I've noticed about tennis, just for myself personally, is that every year, maybe every decade, I get a little more aches and pains after playing tennis. My back or my knee, there always seems to be something giving me a little bit of discomfort. I know from a physician perspective, I have some idea why that's happening, and there's certain things I can do that I have under my purview to optimize my health, my ability to perform in sports, tennis specifically these days. But I also know that there's limitations to that a big part of what I do every day, and again, definitely on the tennis court, is movement. And tennis has so many different movements, and I think that's what's exciting about tennis. It's one of the longevity sports, as a lot of us are aware. Playing tennis for a lifetime has so many benefits to our health. So it's a sport I certainly want to keep up with, but I know that I could use the help of my friend, Sandro, over at XONE Performance.
My name is Sandro Rajic. I am the head of movement architecture at XONE Performance. I always talk about the scientific method. To me, that's one of the most important formats that we can have to addressing or unraveling or unearthing any type of performance. And the scientific method always starts with me is the curiosity part. And we created this facility because we were both very curious. We saw problems in the industry that we wanted to fix. And that led us to asking the questions we wanted to ask and led us then to making these hypotheses. And now we've built a facility so that we can test, experiment, and again, unravel how we can make athletes, how we can make people, how we can make tennis players play better, but also play longer.
Yeah, and that's super important to me because I'll never play at an elite level, but certainly I enjoy it. I love it. I love being out there. And I want to be doing it for the next 10, 20, 30, maybe 40 years, depending on where we get to.
Yes.
But, that's my hope. And I know a part of it, sure, I've got to keep my cholesterol in check and my blood pressure, all those sort of medical-ish things. But probably just as important, if not more important, is my movement.
Absolutely. And I think you kind of hit the nail on the head. It's about movement. And I think when we observe things, we can sometimes observe a little too precisely, which we want at times, but sometimes it's good to broaden that idea of what does movement actually mean. We want to diversify that. We want to go into the realm of jumping, changing direction, sprinting, blood work, understanding what our bodies are inside and out through DEXAs, the VO2s. And those are some of the things that are a little bit more complex that we do need to tackle and tackle appropriately.
I mean, I can see why people run into problems because they're just doing their sport. And I think tennis in particular is one of those sports where the practice is all on the court, everything, like a lot of sports, I guess, but hockey, football, you see those guys and gals in the weight room all the time and off-court, dry land training. With the tennis players certainly that I interact with, I don't get the feeling that they're doing as much nutrition, as much movement optimization, things off the court that are going to contribute to their success as tennis players, but just also to their success, again, like we keep saying, long-term.
Sports can be so dogmatic in their ways. They've done something for so long, it's worked, and it's hard to want to make those changes.
So tell me a little bit about, what's important to a tennis player. When I think about what's important, I think about my serve. I probably struggle with all parts of the game, much like golf, but struggle with power, struggle with placement, consistency, injury avoidance. Where do you see it from your perspective?
Those are pretty bang on. We look at how your body moves. Is it precise? Can it move and can it put itself in positions that it can actualize that precise action and motion?
Right.
We look at your agility. We look at, how do you change direction? How do you decelerate? I think something that we underestimate with Roger Federer, for example, he looks so fluid and it doesn't look powerful, but his precision of changes, he doesn't make mistakes. He moves in these beautiful lines. He can take his body from on and off within milliseconds. And that ability to let go, that's where power comes from. Once we have full contraction, if you have tension, you can't have power. And I think a lot of us think to be more powerful, what do? We try to hit hard.
Right.
Where that's not how...
That's the worst thing to do in golf or tennis.
Absolutely.
Or any sport, probably.
Exactly, and that's just not how we work on this world. We have gravity. How we use gravity to our advantage, something that accelerates us to the ground, how we can work with gravity. This is something we would test, we would provide the player with. And then all three of those combined, that placement, that power, and that agility, if those aren't right, I truly believe that's where injury comes.
Over time.
Over time,
Usually.
you know,
Or sometimes acutely.
absolutely.
You know, when we see, ACLs for sure.
Absolutely, that's
Yeah.
where the agility, you know, having our body not do what we want it to do.
Yeah.
But that's where I feel the injury. If we understand that you're lacking in precision, we know that you're wearing those joints, you're wearing a certain pattern out.
Yeah.
If you don't have power, then you're going to try to make power, which is terrible. That's where tension comes in. And that's, again, we increase that center of mass, we move ourselves up, we're not very grounded, which again leaves us more susceptible. And from the agility perspective, like we said about those acute injuries, we want to make a change of direction. But when our body is not listening to us, we have vectors, we have directions of forces that we don't want. And I think it is important for things to grow, to seek deeper. And this is one of the reasons we formed this company, is to help people see how to truly really get the best out of their own individual bodies. And then apply that back to their tennis. And we've seen great results and changes in people. And again, not just from performance, but from creating a body that can last.